Philadelphia section PGA history. You know, they're celebrating 90 years. We got it.
Next thing you know, he was up on a table on his hands, and then he was
15 years of his work, 90 years of art history, all really culminating in this dream.
But people talk about coaching, and I'd rather use the word teaching.
Hi again, everybody, and welcome to Inside Golf, along with Colleen Wolfe. I'm Harry Donahue, and Colleen, you like history?
I like it.
Mets and Mets?
I guess, Harry, it depends on the subject.
Well, how about the subject of golf? Golf history, specifically Philadelphia section PGA history. You know, they're celebrating 90 years, and we got a show that's filled with the history of the Philadelphia section.
That's right. I'm going to talk to the executive director of the Philadelphia section PGA, Jeff Surrett. He's going to tell us about all the events coming up this year to celebrate the 90 years. And we're going to see a little video that they put together that tracks the progression of the section. And
I'll be talking to Pete Trentham. Now, Pete was a longtime professional at St. David's. He's also the official historian of the Philadelphia section. And there are some characters that Pete Trentham is going to talk about when we come back to Inside Golf.
Inside Golf is brought to you by the Pocono Mountain Visitors Bureau. Life's greater in the Pocono Mountains. Yingling, America's oldest brewery. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where America goes to play. Visit online at phillytomyrtle.com. And by the Philadelphia section PGA, celebrating 90 years.
The Philadelphia section of the PGA of America is celebrating 90 years. Since 1921, the professionals of the Philadelphia section have proven themselves to be the players, teachers, managers, and stewards of the game of golf in the Philadelphia area. They are the experts in the game and business of golf. Please join us in celebrating our 90-year commitment to the game of golf.
If 5 friends are having a light beer and they all put their drinks down in the same place, how long will it take to find the Yingling Light Lager? About that long, because the rich amber color of Yingling Light Lager makes it stand out from the rest. The true lager flavor, however, makes it disappear. 99 calories, 100% authentic lager. Yingling Light Lager, from America's oldest brewery. Rethink your light beer.
And welcome back to Inside Golf. Today we're taking a look at the spectacular history, 90 years of the Philadelphia section of the PGA, and a man who's going to take us down memory lane, Pete Trentham. For 29 years, Pete was the head pro at St. David's. And Pete, thanks for joining us. What piqued your interest in becoming an historian, either unofficial or official, of the Philadelphia section?
well, first I was unofficial, but Jim Finnegan, when he wrote his book about the 100 years of the Golf Association of Philadelphia, and I got involved with helping him a little bit with that, and then I started to see all the interesting things that I didn't know and decided that somebody ought to try to preserve this.
You know, it's such a rich tradition, 90 years, and over the course of those years, Pete, there have been some real characters who have come out of the Philadelphia section. Why don't you tick off some of the names for us? How about a guy like Porky Oliver? What can you tell us about Porky Oliver?
Well, Ed Porky Oliver from Wilmington, Delaware, and he was called Snowball when he was a kid, but because he got portly, he became Porky, and he was a tremendous talent. And he almost won several majors. He had high finishes, the Masters. He was second in the PGA Championship. He was runner-up. And
how about the story where he almost won the U.S. Open, and he teed off early? I mean, how could that wouldn't happen today? Tell us that story.
Well, the U.S. Open those days, they played 36 on Saturday, the final day, and he came out from lunch with some other guys, and the starter was on break, and the scorecards were on the table, and storm clouds were moving in, and they just decided they'd better get started. So two threesomes teed off and played, and Porky Oliver played well enough to tie for first, but all six were disqualified for teeing off early.
You know, another guy, and he's still with us at the ripe young age of, I think, 102. Long time at manufacturers, Bud Lewis. Tell us about Bud Lewis.
Joseph Bud Lewis. He started out as a caddy at Lanark, and after being a pro and assistant pro at various places, he settled in at manufacturers in 1942 and had a long stay there. And he's still going. He's 102 years old. He's the oldest living member of the PGA of America, and he's the oldest tenured member. Nobody else has been a PGA member longer than him. He broke Sarazen's record.
That's amazing. Ski Regal, who passed away not too long ago, was another great representative of the section.
From Upper Darby, and he won the National Amateur Championship and finished second in the Masters, and was a pro at Radnor Valley and some other places. And so one of the characters of, you know, a great person though, and an expert on the rules of golf. As good as anybody with the USGA.
And he did handstands almost until the day he died, didn't he?
Well, I could tell you a lot of, yes, yes, a lot of stories about Ski Regal. That at one tournament, the Labatt's Open in Canada, they had free beer, and Edith was waiting for Ski, and but there was free beer in the locker room, and they had a few free beers, and the other players started talking to him about his handstands, and next thing you know, he was up on a table on his hands, and then he got off the table on his hands, and he walked down the stairs in the locker room, and he walked out and down the first fairway on his hands.
That's amazing. A lot of the some pros, there have been a handful, have gone on to become the president of the National PGA. Most recently, we had Jack Conley from Huntington Valley, Dick Smith, but also going way back, there was a guy by the name of Ed Dudley, who was at, well, you tell us.
Ed Dudley came to the Philadelphia section as a pro at Concord, and he was on the Ryder Cup team their year ride, 1929. And a few years later, he became the pro at the Philadelphia Country Club, and soon after that, he was the pro at Augusta National.
So wait a minute, he was the pro at two courses,
yeah,
Philadelphia
Country Club and Augusta National.
Same time.
Same time, that's right. And then he became president of the PGA, and he was president of the Philadelphia section 7 years, and he was president of the PGA of America 7 years. He played on 3 Ryder Cup teams.
Wow.
He had the low scoring average on the tour 1 year. And it's amazing. He was playing like 30 tournaments on the tour, and he was pro at Augusta National and Philadelphia Country Club both.
Pete, tell us too, there have been some very big names that have come through the section, maybe not for a long time, but were dues-paying members. Right. Gentleman by the name of Ben Hogan and his buddy Byron Nelson come to mind.
Yeah, Byron Nelson got here first. He was at Reading Country Club from 3 years, 1937 to 1939, and he was actually he arrived at Reading as the Masters champion, but he took the job at Reading in during the winter, but he won the Masters in the spring of 37, and he told a couple of us that he used the $1,500 that he got for winning the Masters to stock the pro shop at
really?
Yeah,
at Reading.
At Reading, yeah.
And Hogan was out in Hershey, right?
Hogan came in 1941 as a pro at Hershey, and he was there 10 years, and because Milton Hershey, of course, owned the course and called all the shots. And
some of the untold stories that Pete Trentham shares with us today. Pete, thanks for joining us and giving us a little walk down memory lane in terms of the 90-year rich tradition of the Philadelphia section of the PGA.
Yeah, thank you.
Inside Golf continues in just a moment.
Experience what golfers voted #1 for quality, selection, and affordability. Over 100 different championship courses, including 7 of America's 100 greatest. Indulge in gourmet cuisine, pristine beaches that offer endless activities, active nightlife, and more. It's an easy drive, and affordable nonstop flights are now available from over 25 cities. Start planning your Myrtle Beach golf vacation today and request a free quick quote for the best package rates. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It's where America goes to play.
Welcome back to Inside Golf with Jeff Surrett, Director of the Philadelphia Section PGA. Jeff, big birthday this year, 90 years for the section. Tell me about some of the events that you guys have already had this year.
Well, kicking it off December 2nd, 1921 is our birthday. It's been a great year. We've had a number of events already. Kind of our kickoff to the year, we put together and produced a video. We did a 52 weekly highlights that our historian, Pete Trentham, who he was a self-proclaimed historian, and then we kind of got him into the fold, and he is our official historian, a member of our Hall of Fame, a past president of the section. This really has been his love affair for the last 15 years. So, from a project standpoint, all the work was done by Pete. We just kind of picked what we were going to keep. The hardest thing was to kind of figure out what we were going to throw away. So You know, 15 years of Pete's work, 90 years of our history, all really culminated this year into 52 weekly highlights on our website, on the radio, a little bit on Inside Golf. And then we had a great kickoff Pro-Am at Aronimink, where we had Rich Lerner from the Golf Channel come in. He was our keynote speaker, and it was a great event at Aronimink. We had, you know, 160 players out there to kick off the year. And then we had the PNC, our professional national championship, was at Hershey Country Club. So we had a great, our history display up there. And
now we're going to see the video in just a minute, but why don't you give us a little preview of what we're going to see? Any highlights?
Well, I don't want to be a spoiler, and I'm not in the video. So, you know, it was put together with Pete and Bill Orr at Tall Raw Productions. They put the video together, and it really starts from day one. 1916 is when the PGA was founded. We're only 5 years younger than the National Association. Our group started in, obviously, December 2nd, 1921. So it really starts from there and works up till today. And you know, it highlights all of our award winners. It highlights high-profile professionals that literally started golf in Philadelphia and started golf here in the U.S. So I think people will really dig it. It is a great piece that they put together. It really encompasses 90 years in a very concise and I think everybody will enjoy it. I really do.
All right. Well, you didn't spoil it for anyone yet.
No.
So here's a look at the Philadelphia section PGA celebrating 90 years from the very beginning.
What began with just 50 members in 1921 has grown to more than 700. During the late 1800s, professional players from Scotland migrated to the United States to teach this new game called golf. For 16 years, veteran players from the British Isles won the newly created U.S. Open. That streak was broken when Philadelphia's Johnny McDermott won in 1911 and 1912, becoming the first homebred to win the U.S. Open championship. Then, in 1916, golf professionals felt the need to organize. They formed the PGA of America. The first president was Robert White, who had been the pro at Shawnee in 1914. Originally, there were 7 PGA sections encompassing the entire United States. Pennsylvania and Delaware were in the southeastern section. The organization created its own tournament, and White Marsh Valley's Jim Barnes won the initial PGA championship. Due to the size of the 7 PGA sections, many pros had to travel long distances for meetings and tournaments. In 1921, the officers formed a committee to study the best geographical way to solve the problem. The committee's proposal was to create 24 sections out of the original 7. Philadelphia's golf professionals moved quickly. On December 2nd, 1921, 30 golf professionals held their first official meeting. Tredyffrin Country Club professional Bob Barnett was elected the first president. The section's proposed boundaries would encompass eastern Pennsylvania, southern New Jersey, and the state of Delaware. In June of 1922, the Philadelphia section held its first championship, and Charlie Hoffner, who had been a caddy at the Bala Golf Club, captured the title. During the 1930s, 4 of the country's most successful tournament players were employed in the Philadelphia section. Henry Pickard, Byron Nelson, Denny Shute, and Leo Deagle won 10 major championships. Sam Snead and Ben Hogan arrived in the section during the early 40s. Combined, they won 16 major championships. Other major tournament winners from the section were Art Wall, Jim Furyk, and Pete Oakley. Along with the game's best players, the PGA Championship came to the Philadelphia section 3 times in 5 years. Ed Dudley, national president for 7 years, was instrumental in bringing those tournaments to Philadelphia. In 1938, at the Shawnee Country Club, Paul Runyon demolished Sam Snead in the final 8-7. 2 years later, Hershey Country Club hosted the PGA Championship. 2 Hall of Fame pros met in the final as Byron Nelson edged out Sam Snead. Then, Seaview Country Club played host to the 42 PGA, where Sam Snead defeated Jim Ternisa. Snead would be in the Navy 2 days later. Ternisa was already in the Army. In September 1941, the Philadelphia section helped the PGA of America celebrate its 25th anniversary at the Bellevue Stratford Hotel. With the country at war, the section professionals turned their attention to wartime charities. Marty Lyons became Philadelphia section president, and he gave Leo Deagle full authority to use section tournaments for the war effort. Deagle put together an exhibition match hosted by the Bala Golf Club. $4,000 was raised and donated to the Valley Forge General Hospital in Phoenixville. The golf professionals decided to build a golf course for the rehabilitation of wounded servicemen. Marion's green superintendent Joe Valentine helped the pros lay out a 9-hole course. The Philadelphia section professionals donated equipment and began instructing the servicemen. The PGA continued to find Philadelphia a popular home for its championship. Now National Secretary, Lyons convinced the PGA to bring its 1958 championship to Lanark Country Club.
Thousands swarm over the Lanark Country Club near Philadelphia for the Professional Golfers Association Championship, first ever decided by stroke play.
Dow Finsterwald shot a .276 to win the title by 2 strokes.
The young man who finished second in his first PGA championship finishes first in his second. A bridesmaid so many times, Dow Finsterwald finally walks down the aisle a champion.
Four years later, Aronimink Golf Club hosted the PGA.
A winding country road in eastern Pennsylvania becomes paved with gold in the July sun as the world's great golf professionals arrive at Aronimink Golf Club to seek their fortunes in the 44th PGA Championship. Aronimink provides a regal setting for the third jewel in America's Triple Crown of golf. To club officials, the staging of the 1962 National Championship of the Professional Golfers Association of America augurs the most significant event in the 62-year history of the course, and they're determined to make it the finest ever played. The long course at Aronimink hasn't been an easy task for the world's best golfers, and only Gary Player is under par for 54 holes. Gary calmly hits it down the middle and Player's 70th stroke of the day, and 278th of the tournament wins the coveted PGA Championship. Gary Player becomes the first resident of a foreign country ever to win the PGA. For doing it, he receives the Rodman Wanamaker Trophy from PGA President Lou Strong, and most important, the biggest PGA check ever, $13,000.
More changes came with the naming of Leo Fraser as section president. The section initiated a caddy scholarship fund and a golf show. After leading the Philadelphia section for 5 years, Fraser was elected national president, where he calmed a dispute between the club pros and the touring pros. As a result, the Tournament Players Division was formed. Along with that, PGA created a Club Professional Championship for the home pros, which Philadelphia's Ed Doherty would later win. Another major change came under National President Henry Poe, who had been the professional at Reading Country Club for 27 years. All European pros were now able to compete in Ryder Cup matches, leading to unparalleled success for that international competition. In 1978, under Dick Smith, who would go on to be national president, the section initiated junior clinics and a junior tour. Today, the junior tour has grown to nearly 90 events. Over the years, the Philadelphia PGA continued to respond to national emergencies. At the time of the 9/11 attacks, the PGA had the right man in place as Jack Connolly, a veteran of Vietnam, was national president. Many decisions, along with the need to postpone the upcoming Ryder Cup matches, had to be determined. For more than 35 years, the Variety Club and its physically handicapped children have been benefiting from the Philadelphia section. The section professionals instituted a buddy program where they teach golf to the boys and girls. The section has raised more than $200,000 for the Variety Club. Honors have been plentiful in the Philadelphia section, as 8 members have won national PGA awards. For 90 years, the Philadelphia PGA has run tournaments, instructed the golfers, and interpreted the rules. From humble beginnings, the PGA has become the world's largest working sports organization. Now, all PGA members must complete 3 business schools and a playing test. As experts in the game of golf and the business of golf, Your local PGA professional continues to make golf a better game.
It's time light beer got some character. 99 calories, 100% authentic lager. Yingling Light Lager from America's oldest brewery. Rethink your light beer.
Guests of Inside Golf enjoy dining at Sin Sin, the popular Asian fusion restaurant located on Germantown Avenue in the heart of scenic Chestnut Hill.
And now it's time for Teed Off, brought to you by Yingling, America's oldest brewery.
You better know the game inside and out.
Welcome back. Inside Golf continues with our Teed Off segment. Today from Edgemont Country Club in Delaware County with a couple guys who are no strangers to Edgemont, no strangers to basketball or golf in Philadelphia. Herb McGee is the celebrated coach for years at Philadelphia University, soon to be inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame. And to his left and my right, Tony Leodora, a Hall of Famer in his own mind, no doubt, but also the host of Golf Talk Live on WNTP every week. And Jim Lynam started his career West Catholic, St. Joe's, coached for years in the NBA, and plays golf virtually every day here at Edgemont Country Club. Let me start with Herb. You and Jimmy, both, longtime coaches, very successful at the highest levels. You've brought a lot to your players, helping them to be the very best basketball players they can be. Can you do the same thing? Can a coach do the same thing, do you think, with a young golfer?
I think without question. People talk about coaching, and I'd rather use the word teaching. What I attempt to do with my players, and I'm sure Jim is the same, is teach the players how to play the game. Larry Brown had a great expression, playing the right way, and a lot of people would look at him, what are you talking about? But there is a way to play the game of basketball, and he was very, very good at it. And I'd like to consider I hope that I'm equally as good or maybe close to him. But I think the number one thing with teaching golf is you better know the game inside and out. You better know how to start the swing, end the swing, give the kids swing thoughts and so on. And I think that you better be a good player yourself if you're going to be a good teacher. And I think that would be the case, I think. But I think a young golfer, I think the best young golfers are guys who have great teachers. And I think that's the key.
Now Jim, you had told me that you were the golf coach at St. Joseph's, and that must have been a whole new experience for you.
Well, more like the golf moderator.
Okay. You made out the lineup?
Made out the lineup, got the players to the course, made sure everybody had all their clubs, that type of thing.
Okay, so you weren't out there with video cameras and instruction
We didn't have
manuals
video cameras back then.
back in those days. But picking up on what Herb said, is there a similar trend, though, do you think? What can be brought to a young golfer that's brought to a young basketball player?
Without question, Harry, and I think the evidence, indisputable, is the fact that all the great players in the world have coaches.
Right.
These guys are winning millions of dollars, on tour, and yet they have coaches who are out there on the practice range with them virtually every day. And I think Herb hit on it. If you're going to coach, you have to have like a really sound knowledge of whatever your sport is, so that technically you can help your players. And be straight about this. The great ones, without question, like the Jordans and Larry Birds of the world, number one, they're very, very proficient. They know what they're doing in a technical sense. But I think the second factor is, as a coach, is the mental aspect. You alluded to confidence earlier. It's very difficult to be a successful athlete if you don't have supreme confidence, and a coach can help foster that.
Tony, you've been around a lot of golfers in your day at all different levels. Is it possible for a guy like Tiger, you see him let go of one swing coach and bring on another? I mean, what can one guy like Sean Foley do for his game that Butch Harmon couldn't?
Yeah, coaching has taken on a whole different aspect lately. From the old story of taking a few lessons from someone, which maybe you and I that's all we get to do, but the young players coming up get a full coaching now. Not only are they taking lessons from a professional who is proficient, as Jim talked about, but they're being coached maybe by that same person on nutrition, on exercise, on physical fitness, on the mental side of golf, and it's an entire thing. And the best ones actually get an entire coaching portfolio that helps them become a better golfer. And obviously that was not something that existed not that many years ago. But now it's being treated as developing that entire golfer. And it goes back to what you talked about, Herb, the mental side of golf being so difficult. That has to be coached and brought along the same way the technique of hitting the golf ball has to be.
So Ben Hogan never had a coach?
He did not have a coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
He did not.
He didn't need one.
He had to figure it out himself. Yeah,
Right.
but maybe he would have been way better earlier had he had one. Maybe he would have figured out that thing that kept him from hooking
Like
the ball.
Herb with shooting. Herb never had a shooting coach. Right. Figured it out.
And now he's shooting coach to the stars.
Well, yeah, that's right. Jim Lynam, one of them.
And Jim Lynam, one of them. We'll be back. Inside Golf continues in just a moment.
Teed Off has been taped on location at the historic Edgemont Country Club on Westchester Pike, a private club that caters to the community for weddings, outings, parties, and meetings. Find out more about the club that has hosted everyone from Bob Hope to Ed Doherty at Edgemont.com.
The Philadelphia section of the PGA of America is celebrating 90 years. Since 1921, the professionals of the Philadelphia section have proven themselves to be the players, teachers, managers, and stewards of the game of golf in the Philadelphia area. They are the experts in the game and business of golf. Please join us in celebrating our 90-year commitment to the game of golf.
Colleen Wolf's wardrobe is provided by Adidas, the leader in men's and women's apparel for the athletic golfer.
Colleen, you know, it's great to talk about history in the Philadelphia section of the PGA, and I just happen to have courtesy of one of our viewers from South Jersey, Mike Miller, sent us this ticket. Now look at this, folks. This was from the Philadelphia Inquirer Charities Tournament, Wednesday, June 5th, 1946, 65 years ago, at Lanark Country Club. Third annual invitation, and how about that price tag, huh?
$1.
You could buy a suite full.
You know what? 83 cents actually before tax, which is unbelievable. What can you even get now for that?
No, I don't even want to think. But back then, you could see a lot of great golf at Lanark. Want to thank Pete Trentham and Jeff Surrett for giving us a little walk down memory lane. It's always great to talk to those guys, and they'll be with us periodically for the rest of their 90-year anniversary.
That's right, and for viewers at home, if they want to get a little more information about the 90 years, they can go on InsideGolf.net and just click on the section's logo. It's right there, and you'll go right to the website.
So, for Colleen Wolf, I'm Harry Donahue. That's going to do it for Inside Golf for this week. Remember, no matter how bad it's going for you, don't pick up. See you next time on Inside Golf.
Inside Golf has been brought to you by the Pocono Mountain Visitors Bureau. Life's greater in the Pocono Mountains. Yingling, America's oldest brewery. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where America goes to play. Now fly nonstop on Spirit Airlines. Details at phillytomyrtle.com. And by the Philadelphia Section PGA, celebrating 90 years.